Cherry, hey, you're supposed to be here. What are you calling me about? You're where? You're in Avondale. Okay, you're going to be late. For sure you're going to be late. Okay, it's no big deal. No, don't get flowers. I don't need flowers. This is not a funeral. It's a show. It's a show I'm doing for, well, just friends all over the place. Anyways, I'll tell you more about it later. What? Okay, you're doing that thing. I don't even know the name of it. There's a name for it, and that was funny, but I think this is even funnier. So remember Elton John did Tiny Dancer? Hold me closer, tiny dancer. Remember that? Okay, how about this? This is better. Hold me closer, Tony Danza. Oh, gosh, I love that. I love that. All right. Listen, I got to get going. Just get here as quick as you can. I think I'm on in about 15, 20 minutes.
John, you are on now. We are
What?
live.
What? Oh no. What? Oh, I got to go. I'm out. I'm on. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Borsodi's proudly presents John Lynch.
You showed up, you came. Oh, how fun is this? Oh, okay, folks who are at home, who are watching virtually, you can't see the audience. There's 1,800 of us, and we're in a large coliseum. Wow. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, so first things first. You need to know that these here are my local people. These are some of my best friends in the whole world. And I need you to know that these folks that we're doing this for are some of my best friends in the whole world too. I also need you to know that this doesn't happen tonight without two people. If it were up to me, it'd be a Super 8 projector with a flashlight. Bob Ryan in the back there, he is, yeah. Bob's usually doing all the acting, but he said, for you, John, I just want to do this. And so he's really helped produce this show. And then my son, Caleb Lynch, has just killed it in setting everything up and seeing this show together with me. So thank you, Caleb. Wow. Well, this is, I named my ministry John Lynch Speaks, and kind of implied in that is that I would speak. So I was started out so well this year. I mean, we did the Mercy Me cruise. I'd done a bunch of things up the coast in Seattle, and then everything stopped. And I could no longer talk to my friends. I couldn't get out to you. So I thought, what do I do? And then it dawned on me, I'm writing a book. I'm rewriting On My Worst Day right now. In fact, we're in the editing process. And so I've written 40 new stories. And we're going to probably take out 10 or 15 stories out of the original On My Worst Day. And I thought, wait, I could do a one-man show. I could take stories from this and I could read it a little bit, act some out, just story tell it, and I could get out to my friends. So that's what I'm doing tonight. And I am so excited. Thank you guys very, very, very much for coming. Well, here we go. First story. It's from 1960. Among a kid's highest motivations is to avoid embarrassment. Most parents want to keep their kids from it, but all parents sometimes miss the narrative. And when kids get embarrassed publicly, it's not pretty. Case in point, my parents got me my first bike this year. except it's gigantic. As I remember it, my shoulders don't come up to the seat. What were they thinking? My gosh, I know my dad. My dad probably got it for free or cheap. I know my dad. We were poor, but my dad he was from the Great Depression, and so function always won out over style. I learned to ride a bike that men rode. Men carrying armaments and munitions to the war, and this was not a peacetime bike for children. I remember distinctly the day. I still feel it. I can remember him. See, he got the bike. I knew he got the bike, but we never talked about riding the bike or how to ride the bike. He just called, "Johnny, come on down." I don't know. I said, "Come on down." We were in a one-floor place. Come on down the steps, I guess. Anyways, I came out and he hoisted me onto the bike and said, "All right, let's do this thing." And he put my hands on the handlebars and he pushed. He let go. He let go. I thought he was running alongside with me, just to catch me if I fall. Well, he wasn't. I learned to steer out of the motivation of horror. Inside, I'm shrieking, going, "I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die." The bike was so heavy that once it got started, nothing could stop it. Except for like a parked car. I know this from personal experience. And honestly, guys, I couldn't touch the pedals. So I'd get on, he'd push me in the middle of the street, and I would just start aiming for like a hedge and brace for pain, Or like a pilot who's running out of gas in the plane, I would just wait till the last second and I'd stretch out my leg and skid and jerk, and eventually my knee would buckle and it would get embedded into asphalt and I would come grinding to a stop. I could have been crippled for life. This is how parents taught their children how to ride a bike in the 60s. Good parents, loving parents, all parents. No wonder the life expectancy was so much lower then. After about 5 or 6 tries of doing this, my dad started heading to the house. Now I'm bleeding out in the street. Blood is on my hands, on my new Levi jeans. And my dad calls to me, says, "Hey, good job out there, John. I think we got this." And then he went in the house. "I think we got this." "We got what?" What do we got?" "I can't touch the pedals." But I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want him to come down and shoot me out of a cannon into Mr. Cutler's station wagon. On their normal size bikes, my friends were all learning to ride. They'd fly by my house in packs with playing cards in their spokes. "Come on, Lynch, get your bike!" Leslie Gavin was riding her bike, and I'd always been told she only had one good eye. I made excuses. I probably feigned illness. One morning, though, I got this idea. Wait. I can walk my bike. If people see me walking my bike around the neighborhood, maybe they'll think I can ride, but just wanted to walk the bike for a bit. So I walked my bike one street over to the cul-de-sac where most of my friends congregated. Soon everyone was on bikes, circling around me. "Let's go, Lynch!" Well, I balked. And then someone called out, "Man, I don't think you can ride your bike." And then somehow like a rehearsed chorus, I heard, "John can't ride his bike, John can't ride his bike." Kids can be cruel even if you're well-liked. Oh my gosh, I knew that I had to interrupt things before it got out of control. I actually said these exact words. "Yeah, well, I can ride my bike. I just don't want to." I actually said that out loud. Memory has mercifully blocked out the following few days. Someone probably let me try their bike and I learned to ride. I'm certain there's a good insight that I could include at this point. All I know is that our 3 kids will have bikes that fit them, and they will learn to ride in a quiet corner of a park, not on an asphalt mosh pit of pain in front of kids they'll have to see for the next dozen years. It's hard enough for a kid to face life with good equipment. Decades later, I'm going to coach my son's Little League team. One kid will show up to practice the first day with a plastic glove, a plastic baseball glove. Probably a single parent, knowing nothing about baseball, got him a glove at a grocery store. Before I'll be able to get him a real glove, he'll stop coming to practice. Kid never had a chance. And so I come up with this awakening from 1960. Self-protection becomes our default once we no longer believe adults can be fully trusted to protect us. It's partly what will draw us to Jesus. He never loses the narrative of our heart story. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. That was a tough crowd. Can we get these folks some drinks, please? Yeah. All right. So, now, it's time. You've seen it. You've heard it. Live at Borsodi's. And you're probably wondering, what is that about? So I hope this next story clarifies it for you. This is 1977. And I have returned from waiting tables in beach towns. I'm now back in Phoenix. Most evenings I'm performing melodrama parodies, part of a small theater company at an iconic Western steakhouse north of town, Pinnacle Peak. When you pay for your ticket, you receive a program with the bios of each of the actors. John performed and was held over as a stand-up comedian through much of 1976 at Borsodi's, a nightclub in Isla Vista, California. Impressive. Except it wasn't true. It never happened. I made it up. I'm 24 at this point. All my life I've been told I'm funny, and I've always believed it. The bio should have also mentioned the following. I did do stand-up comedy. One evening. One set. That's all that was needed. The evening was seared into my psyche, if only from the intensity of that spotlight trained on me. Okay, let me tell it to you in real time. So this evening, I am following a local blues legend, Hans Olsen, at a bar in Tempe on Rural Road called Yesterdays. Hans Olsen, how do I describe Hans Olsen? He's got like an eye patch. He had an accident as a kid. And he dresses like an angry homeless man. An angry homeless man who combs his hair with an oily rake. He may be the scariest performer that I have seen since my childhood at the state fair. Okay, so he's done with his set. Now we're in a break room, and he's smoking. Everybody smoked in the 70s, even if you didn't want to. It was a law. You had to. And he's just looking me over. He's just giving me the up and down. I must look like a supermarket checkout boy to him. And at one point, he finally, he grumbles, "Hey, kid, so this gig, like, it's not for everybody, right? I'll tell you one thing. When you go out there, there's going to be this spotlight. Don't look at it. If you look at it, it'll blind you, and then you're screwed." And with that sage encouragement, I walked out. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh, he was right. Oh, gosh. Oh, my. Woo! Okay, test. Is this on? Test. Can you hear me? Oh, man. I made the mistake. I walked out onto an audience who apparently had been alerted to not enjoy me. Oh, man. Stuff that I had worked on for a decade, that my friends loved, that everybody seemed to enjoy, anecdotes, stories, jokes, was met with haunting silence. Nothing, no laughter, no nothing. I immediately panicked and started thinking, okay, I gotta shorten my set. I did by like 2/3. I believe if I had not voluntarily walked off the stage, the crowd would have forcibly removed me. I could sense torches being lit. So why, 2 years later, would I make up such a pervasive lie about something I had failed at so badly? Graduating from Arizona State, many other friends, they had important careers waiting for them. IBM, Honeywell, TV stations. And here I was, wandering around living a gap year before they existed. But my gap year was heading into a lifetime gap. And friends would write to me about raises, advancements, and engagements, and I'm smoking dope and pretending that I'd read Carlos Castaneda's books and working as a waiter on State Street in Santa Barbara. I was so broke. That when my brakes went bad on my VW, for months I used the handbrake to work my way around town. But I just had to have something more impressive to tell. My shame hadn't told me just how far I would go not to be embarrassed. And so Borsodi's. It was a real place there in Isla Vista, a cool, funky, hippie hangout. Nobody did comedy there. Stoned out hippies don't laugh with the same focus of a beer drinking crowd. And so John Lynch begins to learn to have an alternate universe. For it to work, nobody could come to town. If somebody wanted to, I told them that I was down in LA doing some shows down there. For several years, 3 years, Borsodi's was on every job application, every bio, in nearly every introduction. It was who I was. It wasn't until I trusted Jesus that I came clean. I told my best friends, Jim and Pam Adams. They didn't have much of a response. When pressed, Pam said, Johnny, I'm not so sure we were certain whether or not you did do stand-up comedy in Santa Barbara. But we really didn't care. We love you so much. And we both agree, if you weren't doing comedy, you sure could have. You're very, very funny. We believe in you. And that was that. Amongst all the truths that came out of her response, 3 still stand out to me. First, those closest to you know that you're probably making up crap because they've seen it all along. Secondly, they don't feel the need to call you out. They will wait until you're able to tell the truth about yourself. In the meantime, they will love what you're able to give them. Third, love means seeing the best in you, maybe even over-believing in you. Oh, and by the way, what I will eventually get to do with my life, acting out stuff and doing some version of stand-up to share the love of Jesus? Are you kidding me? I believe it's God giving me the desires of my heart. I guess the joke's kindly on me. Thank you. I can't tell you how redeeming it feels to tell you that story. Redemption is simply God changing the narrative, taking what was ruining you and harming you and loving you so much that He, every single moment of every single day, works towards this redemption. Think about that. From the moment in 1977 that I felt like I had to make up stuff so that you would love me, God went chick, and stepped into action on my behalf and loved me and loved me and loved me and brought me here to this night with you. He's doing it for all of us. Do you know that? Every single moment of every single day, He's working that redemption out. Isn't that sacred? That's so beautiful. Well, it's time for the shirt. Buzz? This is Buzz Carr, ladies and gentlemen. Before we used to have a theater company named Sharky, and he was one of the creators, and he was one of the star actors and one of the producers. I'm so proud. This is my dear friend Buzz Carr. Thank you. Well, okay. She bursts in through the door, carrying half a dozen bags, flashing that understated, confident half smile I've seen only Stacy make. Without words, that smile is able to magically articulate this very thought. What I just got you at the store, oh my gosh, you're going to be so thankful you married me. I smiled back, so what'd you get me? She goes, how do you know I got you anything? I said, your smile. She said, give me a second. As she makes her way to the bedroom, she calls back, you are going to be so thankful you married me. See? Second later, she calls out, okay, you can come in now. And carefully laid out on my bed, on my side of the bed, is a shirt. She's purchased hundreds of them for me over the years. Often she leaves them in the bag for me to pull out, explain she can easily take them back. Occasionally, though, she knows she has nailed it. And those she spreads out neatly onto our bed. This one is a short sleeve white shirt. It has blue marlins on it. I do like it. It looks really cool. She says, so? Apparently my nod wasn't sufficient. Yes, I do. I like it a lot. Thanks for getting this. You know I'm always looking for a short sleeve shirt, dress shirt that doesn't make me look nerdy. And she looks at me, and then the shirt, and then she looks at me again. And I look at the shirt one more time, then it explodes on me. The fish shirt. I breathe several times before I can respond. I run several steps to her and I hug her so tight and I go, Stacy, you didn't forget. I'd forgotten all about it, but you remembered. And in classic Stacy form, she says, no, you hadn't forgotten. You told me about the story recently as this month. All your children can repeat it. Here's the story. I'm about 7 years old, and my dad and I are in the den, and I am fixated on his shirt. It is such a cool shirt. Side story, for several years in here, I am not altogether certain that my dad's not Superman. He has to keep it secret from my brother and I and the rest of society. I understand that, but I'm pretty sure. And so anything my dad wears is cool. But this shirt, dang. There's a conversation that ensues, something like this. Dad, I really like your shirt. This shirt with the fish on it? Yeah. You really like it, huh? Yeah, I really do. Then I'll get you one, just like it. You would? Yeah. Then we'll have the same shirt. Wow, Dad, thanks. Days go by and no shirt. Weeks and months go by and no shirt. Years go by, no shirt. I don't know if my dad couldn't find it and got embarrassed or if he forgot. But I do not forget. He must be working so hard to find it. The shirt must be very expensive or rare. I know one day my dad's going to walk through that door with that shirt. My dad passes away at 86. It's not like he didn't have enough time. If he had just mentioned it to Mom, she would have found one and wrapped it and make it look like he brought it home for me. She wanted him to be my hero. That's what moms do. Dads should not forget their promises, especially when your son actually thinks you're Superman. There's a short window when kids think dads can do anything. How can dad fly in and save people from a burning building and not find me a fish shirt? I would have been fine if he'd brought home a white shirt and drawn fish on it with a felt pen. You know, for decades I have told that story without a good ending. Many fathers and sons keep living stories without good endings. I'm not the first son who's still waiting for something from his dad. Enter Stacy into my life. She does not forget such things. She catalogs them in her heart. Then she waits for the perfect time. If I'd think of such a thing, you'd have that shirt by this afternoon. I have no tolerance for perfect timing or patience. But Stacy, she can wait entire years for the right time to give the perfect gift. For years, she would casually ask me what kind of fish were on Dad's shirt. We'd be sitting on a beach somewhere. You know, you remember that shirt your dad had with all the fish? I always wondered what color it might be. Just collecting data, and then she'd wait and remember. This ultimately is not a story about what my dad didn't do. It's the glorious story of what my precious wife does, used of God to help redeem some of my broken stories. Where would I be? Where would I be if I had to tough it out with only those who admired but didn't love me? If love is the process of meeting needs, and it is, then few know love better than my girl. She knew the shirt was more than a wish, it had become a need. I've had this shirt, I guess now for 6, almost 7 years. I wear it all spring, all summer, partway into fall, once or twice a week. And then I take it off and carefully hang it into the closet. And sometimes I'll wear it 2, 3, 4 times before I'll put it in the dirty clothes hamper. Other clothes I'll just wear once and put them in there. I can't take the chance with this shirt and put it in the hamper. A little while back, a few months back, Stacy and I were invited to a birthday party. And this woman who I've never seen before in my life, she walks up to me at this kitchen island taco bar, and she grabs my arm and grabs the shirt, and she gushes, "This shirt is incredible. Oh my gosh, it's so white and crisp, and it's got those marlins on it. Did someone get it for you?" I want to say to her, "Oh, ma'am, you have no idea. See that lady over there at the other side of the room, the blonde lady with a half smile? That's my wife. She loves me. She got me the shirt. I could tell you more, but I no longer want to harm anyone's memory. Let's just say a long time ago, my dad had a shirt very much like this. And I'm not altogether certain he wasn't Superman. Thank you. All right, Buzz. I'm ready for you to take it. If you will, take this to my house. The side door is always open. And put it in the closet and just hang it on the wooden hanger. Will you do that? Thank you. I'm about to tell you my last story. Gosh, I hope tonight has been and is and will continue. This last story takes up the better part of 2 hours. But I hope tonight is one of those nights where we just get to relax and enjoy and hear, and through my stories, maybe God in these next few days will get to remind you of his stories with you. That's my hope. I want this to be a gift. I can't get to you, but I can do this. So, a few weeks ago, I get an email from this guy, and he writes and says, in your book, On My Worst Day, and by the way, it's going to come out in November, the new one. It's going to have, it's going to have the John Lynch Speaks colors, that cobaltish blue on it, but the same kind of cover. So sometime in November, we just wanted to get past the elections. So, but he says in your book, on a lot of the stories, you will write what you imagine Jesus to be saying to you, all through your life. And he says, how did you come up with that voice for Jesus? How do you know he speaks that way? He says, I've been a Christian for a long time, and I've known about him. I want to know him now. I want to know that voice. How did you find that voice? And I asked him, would you please watch tonight? I wrote back and said, would you watch the show? First of all, I didn't always. If you know me well and knew me during that time, you know that I didn't hear that voice. I heard a voice of condemnation, of judgment. A voice that said, hey, when are you going to, why can't, or you phony. I heard my God talking to me like that. Fortunately, I was surrounded early on in this community where people taught me that I didn't have to read the Bible anymore with my shame filter on it. You know, shame, that thing that reads the scriptures and then says, there's something uniquely, irreparably wrong with me, and this book is condemning me. And they taught me to believe who Christ said I was. Wow. That on my worst day, I'm beloved. That to the exact extent that my Father loves me, Jesus says, so I adore and love you. There is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. I'm a brand new creature. Christ is in me. And the old me no longer exists. I'm this new person fused with Jesus Christ on my worst day. And as I started slowly to believe that, and it was slow and long, it changed things. I no longer see him as angry or disgusted or frustrated or put out or second guessing why he ever had me as his son. And that changes you. It changes everything. For me to be able to know that when I mess up and fail, that he says, I got you. I love you so much. You're mine. You're right on time. And I'm proud of you. That changes my trajectory for the next time so that I don't have to mess up. And I see myself as his, safe in his love. Now, what I can also do then is it's so healing. I start to get to go back through years and past events, and I get to hear his voice now in the same way in those situations. John, I'm right here. I got you. So this last story, I'm so happy to get to read it because it has, I guess maybe this is the reason that we're doing this night for me. This story is so important to me. And it has one of those me imagining what Jesus would be saying to me in it. Gosh, I hope you enjoy it. So I've had my share of good days on this planet. Oh, I have. I've seen Koufax pitch. Sandy freaking Koufax. I performed my Two Roads talk with Mercy Me in a majestic Baltimore theater on tour with them. Are you kidding me? I've had buttermilk pie. Warm buttermilk pie. A butterfly landed on my finger after asking it to. I watched humans land on a moon. I caught non-stop white bass with a friend named Jeff and an old guide who used to win all those bass championships. He had these leathery arms. His name was Hank. At a wedding reception, Stacy Marie Pilger flirted with me, and it changed everything. I've seen Bruce Coburn play 5 separate evenings. I've sat on the bow of a catamaran in the Bahamas with Charlie Millard, our legs dangling overboard, watching flying fish for an entire hour. I watched my son win state in the 800 meters. 2 nights. I sat with Stacy at a linen-covered table on the edge of the Grand Canal in Venice, and we sipped the finest cup of coffee that either of us had ever tasted. I've had some good days. Really good days. And I've had some great days. Deeply meaningful days where my life on this planet counted. I saved one of my best friends from drowning in a river. I beat up a bully. I was used to keep a person from committing suicide. I've preached in the church I used to pastor as a guest preacher for the present pastor, my son. All of us, right? We could all list some really good days and some great days. So then, what would a best day be? Wouldn't a best day be the experience of God taking a worst day and redeeming it into a best day long after you thought that he would, long after you thought he was able or had even remembered it? So Stacy and I are invited to another birthday party. That's really all we do anymore. We just go to birthday parties. I don't even work. But I don't want to go to this party. I don't want to go because we got something before and we won't be able to get over there till 9 o'clock. Usually at 9 o'clock there are blankets on me and lights are turned out. And this birthday party is so far over on the east side of the valley. It's crazy, like at the 202 and Power Road. So even if I get in the car and Stacy and I just drive by and I roll down the window and I say, "Hey, Doug, happy birthday," and I drive home, it's 10:45 before there are blankets on me. Doug is a pastor. It's his birthday. He's a dear friend of mine. And so I go. We both go. And I show up. It's really cool because I've preached at his church a number of times. And so there's people, and I'm just enjoying glad hand. I feel like I'm running for office. It's just having a great time. But I notice off to my left, there's this guy staring at me. I just glance out of the corner of my eye. But I see him. He's staring at me. Either I owe this guy a lot of money or he owes me his life. This guy could keep me from getting home at a reasonable hour. So I try to just keep staying talking over here, but eventually, like the tide, it takes me over there, and he stands up and starts talking. He gets right in my face and says, "Hi, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I know it's Doug's birthday party, and you should be here for Doug and just enjoying all the other. You don't even know me. I know you, but I have no business even talking to you. But I need to talk to you. I really need to talk to you. Could we please talk? I'm so sorry. I feel stupid saying that. But I need to talk with you. Could we go into the front yard?" And I'm looking around, I'm going, anyone noticing this? Anyone seeing this at all? And everybody's just in their own conversations. No one's noticing this. And I look at Stacy, she's in the kitchen just yakking it away with some "Thanks, hon, thanks." So I say, "Yeah, sure." What I really want to say is, "Do you know that I live over 40 miles away from here?" Do you know that usually on most nights I'm asleep 15 minutes ago? The front yard is dimly lit, and these people at this party, they're young. They're not going to leave anytime soon. So he could knife me, and it would be several hours before anyone notices. Now he's up in my face. He's just way so too close. He's kind of manic, and he's sweaty, and he's like looking around like real nervous, like someone's. And I'm throwing up this prayer, this triple kind of prayer, like, "God, hey, God, hey, help. Hey, your servant doth need you now. Help. Ah." I'm not going to get this word for word, but I'm going to get pretty close. He keeps talking. He says, look, way too quickly. I know this seems strange. Just give me 2 or 3 minutes. My name's Mark. My wife Tracy's here tonight. We're a miracle story. We shouldn't be here. I mean, alive. We've had such horribly hard lives. I tried to take my life. In junior high, the man who would later groom me and molest me, I became addicted to drugs and alcohol. My wife was sexually molested and physically abused by her stepdad almost daily from 9 to 14. We were married at 16 and 17, and we've been together 40 years. Most of them, we lived in shattered, broken relationships. We've been homeless with our 3 children. We're both recovered meth addicts. I am regretting my judgment of this man. He is heroic. He says, "So I wandered into this church and these people, and they have drawn our hearts to God. 2 years ago, though, I was still so new at this. It's like you know God now, but the ugliness doesn't just go away right away. Sexual abuse, it messes up your picture of who you really are, like you're never going to be enough, like you aren't worth someone respecting you enough to not ruin you. You feel always like God has to endure you. So even, he says, even as I receive a phone call from Doug, the thoughts of suicide are still stirring in my head. He's inviting me to watch the movie with a group of guys, this movie. Now, Mark yells at me like I'm across the street. He says, dude, you're in it. You're in the movie, The Heart of Man. His hands now are on my shoulders, kindly shaking me, and I am mesmerized. God is not doing this for Mark only. He's doing this for me. Anyways, he says, it gets to the section of the movie where you tell your story about getting violated in 5th grade, and I'm frozen in my chair. Someone's telling my story. Someone knows. I'm watching a man admit that his life was horribly changed one day in a rail car. John, I don't have words to describe what I felt watching you share your brokenness, but then you started talking about healing from Jesus. You no longer saw yourself as an unneeded failure. How could this be? How could you possibly see yourself so free? Not me, never, not ever fully me. But sitting there in the dark, God was convincing me that you were telling the truth. And in that very moment, something changed. I knew that I would never be the same. I believed that God could do the very same for me. He says, I want to stand up in the room and yell, do you hear this? Do you hear this guy? I'm going to be okay. This guy's me. Swear to God, I'm going to make it. John, God used you to convince me that I'm redeemable. I'm not ever going to have to take my life. He's freed me from the lie that I'm not enough to be loved. Now my hands are on his shoulders. And we both start to cry. He says, I knew I had to meet you. And then you showed up here tonight. I'm so sorry I scared you. I can't remember much of what I told him, except that I was undone by what God was doing through him in that moment in the front yard where I did not want to be. This guy was revealing the repainting of my story. God had been weaving this story a long time. I just didn't know there was a Mark Sullivan going through hell and back to find an authentic community. And then to see my story in a movie, then to have that story free his very person, then in him telling me that my life had counted in his, I was suddenly freer than I had ever been before. We hug each other fiercely. 2 men long ago robbed of innocence by sick people. Both men disgusted and ashamed with themselves for so long, and now here we are, free men, strong and unchained in Christ, alive men, wounded healers, helping free others robbed by sick people. The entire way home, I keep hearing the words, John, God used you to convince me that I'm redeemable. I'm not ever going to have to take my life. God did it. He redeemed my very worst day with the redemption of another. Redemption, it means to liberate by payment, to release from debt or blame, to offset, to override the bad effect. I called Doug and he gives me Mark's contact information. I want him to help me get the story right. We text back and forth like we're still in the front yard. And Mark Sullivan ends with these words. I'm praying your words find many more Mark Sullivans. My life today is so amazing. I love myself today. I'm worthy of love. There are so many hurting people. I want to try to reach as many as I can as well. I love helping others. This pattern is true for every single one of us, every single day, every failed moment, every chronic, drawn-out, unresolved, anxious time. He is magnificently and surgically redeeming our worst days into best ones. God is healing other Mark Sullivans so they can get in front of you and report your best day. It'll catch you off guard when you aren't looking for it. And I imagine Jesus saying to me, John, one of the things I adore about you most is your bravery. You've trusted me with the results of the rail car story to live all the way to this night, never knowing if you'd see any payoff from all the pain and loss that horrific violation has cost you. You've trusted me to believe that you're clean and righteous and that you're loved as much as anyone else I have ever loved. Yet you never experienced anyone articulate that what you went through could be used in their healing. You've waited over 55 years to hear Mark's words. John, you tend to stuff things, so we haven't talked much about that day in 5th grade. I was completely with you there. Since that day, I've experienced with you every hiding, every posturing, every bluffing, every doubting that you would ever be enough for another. The lingering thought that there is, of course, something uniquely and irreparably wrong with you. You may have thought you were alone, but you never for a second were. Redemption is a relational experience between human and God. You experienced it when you dared to believe that this event did not define who you are. That you have been liberated from its power and bad effect. Redemption is released when someone believes the power of the cross and the resurrection, that it is stronger than what happened to them, no matter what happened to them. John Lynch, my son, tonight we celebrate. That it's after 11 and you're still not in bed, that's on you. I love you, my son. Thank you. I hope this next part works. I've invited 2 people to be here, and I sure hope they're here. Mark Sullivan and Tracy Sullivan, would you stand up? Gosh, my friend. Gosh, love you. Okay. Well. Well, please tip your server on the way out. Guys, wherever you are tonight, I am so, so grateful that you chose to spend it here, live at Borsodi's. Good night.